Mi gente, you already know who it is. It's the radioactive pop with Danny Limelight, United Wrestling Network World Heavyweight Champion. And make sure you tune into the Alliance blog every week. You heard it here first. Straight from Poppy.
They want NWA? Let's give them NWA.
Who are those guys?
And then there's the other guys.
We're the other guys. We're the guys nobody ever bets on.
The following program is intended for mature audiences.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the show.
It's time for the Other Alliance Guys podcast with your hosts, Tim, Dave, and Jeremy.
Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, good night, everyone. It's the Other Alliance Guys podcast. I am Jeremy. I am filling in as host for the moment as Timmy Thunder drives into the office to get some work done and talk some NWA, and we're also sitting down with Dave Scooby. How the hell are you today, guys?
Doing good.
Doing well.
I'm mobile. Yeah. It's I won't bore everybody with what I'm doing, but like I live an hour west of like where I work, and then I had to go an hour east of there, so I can't make it 2 hours back to home. So I'm gonna make it the hour back to my office. And I'm like 20 minutes behind right now. So there we are. Excited to be here, buddy.
Good deal. Today we will be talking NWA Mexico, The World is a Vampire Part 2. I will be touching on the matches of the week from Memphis, Derby City, and Championship Wrestling presented by Card Shield. And Dave Scooby will be talking about Kenzie Paige pulling double duty at the Crockett Cup and who she will face in night 2. And I Respect You, Booker Man. And I see we've got Jay Cal in the chat, and Willie Bowen, and Mandy. I thank you all for stopping in. So we've got a little roundtable discussion here. And while we give some time for Timmy Thunder to get into the office, we'll talk a little bit about this. We got the Crockett Cup pay-per-view coming up June 3rd and 4th. And let's talk about our final 4 teams that we have going in to this upcoming Crockett Cup. Hello, Lamb. Thank you.
Hey, Lamb. Yeah, it's we got 2 weeks before this pay-per-view. My favorite pay-per-view of the year. Super excited for it. There's actually, I have the brackets, I think, loaded up in the overlay section if you want to throw them up.
Let's see here.
While we're doing that, I should point out that we kind of have a contest going on as well on Twitter right now. If you check out my Twitter page, it's at the Alliance Gold. We're giving away around the Crockett Cup a very rare, hard to find NWA 10 pounds of gold impact playset, and it's kind of cool. Maybe I'll throw it up later if I get there and able to do that. But all you gotta do is follow Jeremy, Scooby, Jay, and the.
Oh, we may have lost you for a moment, but I am not locating the bracket at this second. While we're waiting for there's Tim back.
Yeah, I was just saying, if you go to my Twitter page, the details to win on that thing is there. It's a really cool prize. There it is. To say they're kind of hard to find. And
yes,
we're giving it away. You're picking your Crockett Cup winner, your Final Four as well, just in case there's a tie. See who has the most, and that's it. Dad, I thought we'd maybe pick our Final Four tonight, but I don't have the brackets in front of me, obviously.
Yeah, and I'm not finding the bracket in the overlays. I've got the announcement clip, but
why don't we talk about the feed first? Because I'm about 15 minutes away from the office anyway, and I can pull it up there. Yeah, listen, I wanted to talk about the video feed that went out yesterday on NWA Power. And it just cut and dropped. If you've watched Power, it just ended somewhere, I believe, during the Plunkett versus Kerry Morton match, if I remember correctly.
Oh.
And if it were the first time, if it were a one-off with the feed problems in the NWA, I would, I'd say, okay, well, and I guess anything could happen in the realm of uploading onto the internet, where obviously the show was placed. But we had those feed problems at 312 before, which totally, essentially shut down that pay-per-view for most of us. And a lot of guys, just like Power, which didn't get uploaded in its full version until I think you said around 10 o'clock last night, Jer. A lot of guys didn't get to watch 312, the end of that, until the next day.
Yep.
So, listen, I guess what I'm saying as a blanket statement is, as much as I kind of get tired of prefacing the statements that I make by saying, we still love the NWA, we love the talents, and we love the people who work there, and, hope they keep getting better and better. They got to figure this shit out. This is a problem. It's, and I was just kind of saying backstage, like if this is essentially an episode of Power in the taping segment after the last pay-per-view where this also happened, I got to think that if you're watching a major company of any worth or value, that this isn't going to happen. I really think this is something they got to focus on quick to correct.
Yeah. And like I said, this is the thing that TV networks and streaming platforms, these are the things that they look at whenever they're considering, do we want to include this in our stuff? Now, Lamb asked the question, but wasn't it a fight problem with the pay-per-view? That's the bad thing about with fight. I've yet to hear anyone say that fight claimed it was on them whenever a problem has happened with any stream, not just NWA streams, which were plentiful, but with any stream that they have on there. They always claim that it's the uploader's problem.
Yeah, as I remember it, it was the NWA's responsibility. I don't want to say fault, but anyway. But yeah, Fight didn't claim any responsibility there that I recall.
Yeah, and then he says it could have been a YouTube problem too. It happened with Memphis once, that it didn't start at all and had to be uploaded as a whole again too. And that is very true. These things do happen, but unfortunately it seems like it happens quite a bit with the NWA.
What did you think, Dave? Were you watching it live when it went off? And
I was. I looked down and I'm like, it just went off, and I'm like, did I sit on the remote, or did one of the dogs hit the remote? And then I'm like, okay, went back and I'm like, well, it sort of ended. And I'm like, okay, well, then later in the night, I'm like, well, it ended almost towards the end of the match, and then they had the Master Lock Challenge. You really didn't miss much, but even like you're saying, you want to put your best foot forward.
Yeah.
You want to show, even if it's 30, 35, 40, 45 minutes, whatever it is, show it in its entirety and put your best foot forward. They have to double and triple check everything to make sure that there's not going to be any problems.
Yeah. There should be safeguards in place.
It makes them look, I'm not going to say cheap, but it doesn't make them look as professional.
Right.
Yeah.
Along these lines too. That wasn't me they're honking at. Along these lines too, I noticed something, and again, mistakes happen, but I don't think they happen as often as we've seen. But the NWA put 2 brackets pages out for the Crockett Cup. Like the better one is the one that Gary Horn uploaded to anyone who follows the NWA, and like gets the email directly to your email inbox.
Yeah.
That one was corrected and looks fine, but the first one is wrong. There's a bracket that has the 2 16th seeds and no 15th. Like, if I can't imagine, like, if anyone was paying attention, like that this mistake could easily be, could be caught.
Right.
I don't work in a kind of business. I know Dave does, where your finished product, I'm sure, Dave, has to be something that's been looked over after editing and is something, at least if it's not polished, you're looking at it for any potential errors. And like I don't know how something like this could possibly happen. I hate to say this, but you're not a worldwide company if you make these kind of mistakes.
Yeah, you stay a YouTube brand.
Yeah.
With a fight distribution deal for your pay-per-views, that is probably very lopsided in Fight's favor.
Yeah.
So it again, like Lamb said, it could have been a YouTube thing. We weren't there. We don't know. But again, this is something that it continues to happen for them. These little hiccups along the way that just are a stumbling block for them.
Mm-hmm.
Giving credit where credit's due, though. I did like the little 10-minute video that they uploaded with Kyle Davis saying, here's in your Crockett Cup and a little bit about them. And what I especially liked about it was he mentioned other brands by name. Trevor Murdoch, he said, is a 3-time WWE World Tag Team Champion.
Yeah.
And who else? AEW was mentioned for people who had appeared on AEW programming. He mentioned, I think it was JAPW. It's like Jersey.
All Pro Wrestling.
I had to look.
Yeah.
And a couple other ones. And I thought that's good. Like, I like a company as well that, doesn't pretend that other accolades from other companies don't exist.
Yeah.
And I thought that was a nice touch by them.
Now, Lamb brings up and asks another question. Would you like to see the NWA Jep channels every season like MLW in the past 2 years? No. I I can deal. I can deal with the little hiccups. It's just I feel that, like Tim and Dave, that it is something that we need to address as on here, or what are we doing? You know?
Yeah, look, I'm fine with them staying on YouTube if they want to stay on YouTube, and that's the plan
Yeah.
for the next couple of years. I want the product to be something that, I don't know, doesn't have these hiccups, as we say.
And I'm completely fine with them staying on YouTube. If that's the way it goes, but we know that that's not what Billy's going to be happy with. He's had active talks with networks and stuff, so he is looking to get it out there, and this could be the reason why Dave told him to go back to the drawing board, in a sense, or he's had to go back to the drawing board.
Yeah, 100%. And I don't know. I got the sense, is Jay in the chat? I got the sense watching the pre-party that he was kind of scratching his head, going, maybe he's getting a little bit frustrated. I feel like I'm in lockstep with him right now about if that's the case for him. But hey, it is what it is, and we have to hope for better.
Yeah. I just hope better comes really soon.
Yeah, better late than never.
Yeah.
That's right.
Better late than never, though. Yeah.
I mean, they're taking baby steps, but they'll go 2 steps forward, then they'll slide back just a bit.
Yeah.
They just need to. I mean, I've said it before, and I mean, I know it's not going to happen the way Billy is running it, because I mean, he owns it. He can do what he wants. But logically, you think, okay, we're a wrestling company, but we're also doing episodes of quote unquote TV. So let's do it like each season they write out a full season, and this is where we start, this is where we take it to, and this is how it ends.
Sure.
So let's say, okay, each season is from anniversary to anniversary, or you take it from Crockett Cup, or you take it from anniversary all the way to Crockett Cup, and then you just fill in those 2 months with what's happened over the past year and what may happen at the upcoming anniversary show.
Okay.
Highlight and do that, but you have story arcs, but not every match and not every wrestler has to be in a story. You can just have a match to have a match.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not everything matters, but not everything has to matter. That, I mean, it's one of those things that they just have to decide where they're going and do their best to get there, and try not to have too many hiccups along the way.
And Boss is in the chat. He says tomorrow night he will have an interview with Sean Donovan from Sent to Slaughter, and that will air on the OG Alliance Guys podcast.
That's awesome. I know very little about that guy, so I look forward to seeing that one.
Yeah.
And then he says, honestly, it looks like they're line dancing for as many steps as they take forward or take backwards as they do forward.
Yeah.
That's the sound analogy. And then Lamb asks, I wonder if Billy tried to talk with Anthem Access TV when NWA and Impact worked together for a spot on the channel. I don't know.
I wouldn't be surprised. I did hear that he was at one point recently talking to Anthem, but that source was pretty shaky at best. So, yeah. If you want to run down the Crockett Cup teams, I think they're all 16 of them, or 16, 20, 26. I think they're all in there. And I'm just turning into my office right now, so I'll be on in about 10 minutes.
Alrighty.
Sounds good.
All right, see you in a few, guys. Thanks.
All right. So first off, we've got the official entrance will be La Rebellion. And then we have Chris Adonis and Tyrus. And this one's interesting to me. I really hope that they kind of just immediately implode. What about you, Dave?
I know that they're not going to think things aren't going to work out. I'm just not sure how far they're going to let them get before they implode. Because, I mean, Crockett Cup is a tag team endeavor.
Yeah.
It's about tag teams. But when you have your champion and his last opponent as a tag team, no, the 10 pounds of gold or the 12 pounds of gold, as Tyrus calls it, it needs to be defended. Anytime he's on a pay-per-view, anytime he's featured anywhere, that belt needs to be highlighted.
Yep.
So they need to implode on that first night and then go for round 2 on the second night, where Adonis and Tyrus just do it again. Because the only way Tyrus will look as a champion, he has to defend that title.
Yeah.
The only way he is a credible champion is to defend that title. And working with your opponent is it's not working for me.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't care for the team up, and I'm with you. I hope that they're broke up by night 1 and we get to see them square off in night 2. And we've got my pick, and from what I've read, most people's pick, Mike Knox and Trevor Murdoch. And I honestly never in a million years thought I would be saying I want Mike Knox to win something. Especially not the Crockett Cup.
Well, I mean, he's done a total turnaround.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, him and Murdoch, I mean, they just embody what a tag team is, even though they've been tagging for less than 6 months.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, they're just two big guys that they need to be put somewhere if they're not in a title hunt for a major championship. Put them together and have them go after the tag belts. Because, I mean, any team that goes against them, whether they win or lose, they're going to be bumped up the ladder.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just by wrestling against them. It's just one of these things that it needs to happen. La Rebellion is a great team, but I think if you put Knox and Murdoch as the World Tag Champions, it would help everyone around them and everyone who comes after the belt. It would help their stock rise.
Oh, for sure. 100%. 100%. Then we've got a couple of AAA competitors, and Mistiz Jr. and Octagon Jr. And Octagon, I'm unfamiliar with Mistiz Jr. and I've seen a couple of Octagon Jr. matches. They should be quite interesting. I like the Lucha add-in.
Oh, definitely. I mean, it's just going to be something so different.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, La Rebellion, they can do some of the Lucha style, but they're more the rough and tumble.
Yeah.
whereas this is going to be an even faster paced match. And I'm looking forward to it. I'm not going to say I like the lucha style, but it's growing on me.
Yeah. I always like the high fly. I always like the luchas and the high flyers like that. I love a good fast paced, match like that. It's their flippies and all that make a lot more sense than the flippies that you see in other promotions right now. And that's one of the things that I always liked about the luchadors. And I'm glad, like you, I'm glad that we're getting that thrown in there. And then we jump to a cut above. And these are two guys that I secretly want them to go all the way.
Oh, yeah.
I don't have them going all the way, but I would love to see Rhett Titus and Latimer especially hold the Crockett Cup.
Yeah.
That would just, to me, it's good business.
Well, I mean, Titus has done whatever the NWA has asked of him.
Yes.
And I mean, he is a great wrestler. And if you've never seen him back in the day, he's Rhett Titus ANX, the All Night Express. Him and Kenny King. My God, if Kenny King, if they were able to somehow get Kenny King to jump over just for the Crockett Cup, I know it won't happen this year, but if Titus is still with the NWA next year, if Kenny King was able to come back and they were able to do a All Night Express reunion, my God, if you have a chance to go online and either if you're in Honor Club or if you can go on YouTube and check out the All Night Express ANX from ROH, those guys can go. And with Titus teaming with Latimer, he's the power and Titus is the speed. And together, I mean, I'm hoping that they go at least top 8. But if they could go to the semifinals, I would love that even better.
Yeah.
I reserve the right to change my pick next week before the pay-per-view. But Titus and Latimer, that's who I'm picking right now.
Okay. Welcome back.
Thank you.
And then we have the tag team that, honestly, in my opinion, Billy only asked for. The Mortons. And I love the fact that Kerry Morton is getting involved in the Crockett Cup. But couldn't they have got somebody other than Ricky?
I mean, we watched actually a pretty good descent of Kerry into heeldom. It's been a nice, slow Breaking Bad kind of, going from mild-mannered science teacher all the way to drug kingpin. I mean, Kerry's not a drug kingpin, but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
And it's been pretty good. So where else better for this to culminate than the Crockett Cup, right? Let him turn on Dad.
Very true. I just feel that they could have done this at a different pay-per-view and given another tag team a spot.
Yeah.
I mean, but there's at least one other tag team that could have given up their spot first, if not 2. So, I mean, I'm sure you'll go through them, right? But hey, what if they swerve us? I don't know if it was one of you guys who said it, but last week. But what if Ricky goes dark side with his son?
Yeah. I believe that. I think I said that.
Yeah, that'd be a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, find that bracket and upload that. You see that happening there, Fantasy Booker?
I'm not sure what's going to happen, but I do know in the past, Kerry has wrestled with Bobby Fulton's son, wrestled with and against. So they could have done either a second generation tag team and have him automatically turn, where then the fathers would be involved, and that could be a story that could be told on USA down the line if they do bring in Fulton's son. But I mean, it's 6 of one, half dozen of another. There's something wonky that's going to happen. I just don't know who it's going to happen to. If Kerry turns on his dad, or hell, even if Robert Gibson shows up and turns on both of them. Who knows?
Yeah, that would be fun.
I mean, Midnight Express is having their finale, their go-away tour. And I think, I mean, who knows what's going to happen, but something will definitely happen that may surprise some people, and other people just sit there quietly and be like, yes, it finally happened.
Yeah.
I would really enjoy that. Because I popped whenever I sit here and I say that I don't want to see Ricky wrestling, but I popped whenever they won the tag titles. I did. I popped. I jumped up off my couch. I squealed like a little girl. My wife was looking at me odd.
Is that the Rock and Roll Express you're saying?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Whenever
the
they
won, I came back to wrestling.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Whenever they won, I all the feels, you know, and but that was 4 years ago now.
Yeah.
2019. I want to say.
Yeah. Those feels are gone. I hope that this culminates Ricky's in-ring run with the NWA.
Yeah. He's going to reform the York Foundation. Richard Morton presents the Morton. I don't know. So what are we doing? Are we running through the teams or?
Yeah, I had started at the top and was working my way down. Next, we were on the Country Gentlemen.
Country Gentlemen. I didn't see where we left. There we go. The Country Gentlemen, your United States Tag Team Champions. Guys, I got to tell you, they are I believe, your 7th seed, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yep, they are your 7th seed, which means the Mortons.
Yes.
The Mortons have a higher seed than your NWA United States Tag Team Champions.
Wow.
You're shitting. I just now noticed that.
So this is in order. I put them in order because that's the kind of nerd I am. First seed, La Rebellion. Makes sense. World Tag, right?
Right.
100%. Second seed to me should be Country Gentlemen.
Yeah, being as they're your second in line as tag champions.
Right. But it's Chris Adonis and Tyrus, which you can kind of see the argument at least.
He's a world champion.
World champion, yeah.
Yep. And then you've got these two guys at number 3. I mean, great team, former world champion, but I don't see it yet.
But they shouldn't be at 3.
Right. I have no problem with
Country Gentlemen should be at 3.
Right. I have no problem with a AAA team being in at number 4. It's feel good all around.
Yeah.
But then a cut above, who again I love, and the Mortons are ahead of the Country Gentlemen.
So the North American and the junior heavyweight titles rank higher than the U.S. tag titles in the grand scheme of the Crockett Cup.
It gets a bit even wonkier. I'll run through because there's 7. Blunt Force Trauma is 8.
Yeah.
So you got Scion and Clearwater is 9. Sounds okay so far. Kratos and Odinson at 10. 11 is Toxin and Arez. So, they're in the top half of your two teams from AAA. That's good.
And I like that Toxin guy.
Right. And me too. And then so 12th, I'll come back here so you can see my incredulity. They didn't win a match, the Fixers. They lost both of their matches. Kyle Davis says they appealed and they're in. Okay. Why aren't they in the scramble?
Yeah, I mean, make them earn it. Granted, they are former champions, but put them in the scramble to make them earn it.
100%.
Bump everybody up by one.
Yeah. I'll probably get killed if I don't look at the comments now. Not a big fan of the Country Gentleman, Jay says. The seating was biased by other world champions. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Willie says, bring back Royce Isaac, and he and Tom. Yeah, absolutely. They were awesome.
I don't know that will happen.
No.
Yeah. I don't know either. Let's go back to that for a sec. Where is that? I got it. So that's 12, I believe. So 13th is the Savages. 14th is Magnum Muscle. Max and Judias, again, looking okay. And because you're starting to get into teams now where it's like, this is a team that has never tagged together in the NWA.
Yeah.
In fodder and flip. What did you call them, Dave?
Flippin' Psycho.
That's a great name.
And that is a great name.
But one thing, they haven't been in the NWA as a tag team, but they were in Control Your Narrative. I'm not sure if they were a tag team, but they were in there.
Yes.
Yeah.
So they do have some history together, just not as a tag team.
Well, hopefully they play that up.
Yeah.
What did I want to do here? And then we have Maff, who was in at least one of the Crockett Cups in the Lightning One era.
Yep.
With Sean Donovan. I'm sure Jay will get more out of him tomorrow. The Now is back, so that's exciting. Yes. But they haven't been around for a while. So then we're kind of sort of getting into the bottom. I don't want to say the bottom of the barrel. These are some good teams. The Now is amazing. I'm a big fan of the Now. And these fellows, and I've lost the number. I feel like they're kind of adequately seated at this particular point.
The Spectaculars are number 19.
19. Okay. So you got basically 24 teams, and they're 19th. And below them are TNT, who's I'm excited to see, having never seen them before. And sorry, Jer, the Clown Brothers. And then, okay,
Got to.
You've got the Heat Seekers, your former NWA World Tag Team Champions, and I know no one's talking about them on Lightning One NWA television, but I feel like, guys, it's the Heat Seekers. What are they doing down here underneath TNT and the Spectaculars?
Because by all accounts, they had to hand over the titles.
Yeah.
They never lost them.
They never lost them.
It's crazy.
Well, I mean, if they're going to reference Trevor as a former WWE/F tag champ, why not? I mean, the NWA goes all the way back to 1948. They mentioned Harley Race. They mentioned Harley Race wasn't in the Lightning One era.
Right.
Either go full history or no history at all.
Mm-hmm.
And the NWA just started back in 2018 when Billy bought it.
Hey, Jay says Spectacular should be 24th. They suck. Agreed.
That's an insult to sucking.
The adequates. Carlton said, what's that?
The okays.
The okays.
We're not great. We're okay.
That's right.
the mediocres.
That should be the dance. I would have waited, Carlton says, for Thrillbilly to get a shot at the title because he's one of the hottest in the NWA. You don't want him to. You don't want EC3 to beat him. If you do, you'll have a rematch at 75. Yes, I pick EC3 to retain the title at Crockett Cup and lose the rematch.
Tim, your wife is going. Yeah, I was just going to say your wife is going wild with some just outlandish
Lucas hot takes
statements. My goodness,
the best wrestling athlete of this generation. He's the Dave Dahl of the NWA, Jay.
Wow.
Wow. No, he is.
I'm not sure who that's an insult to or.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Next.
Next up, after the Heat Seekers, who are way down here, comes Magic Jake and Brian Brock, who I think we've seen once in the NWA. Even Kyle Davis in that cool 10-minute segment, he was like, they bumped into each other backstage and they decided, let's enter the Crockett Cup.
Can I just say that Brian Brock looks like he smells like a spittoon?
Yeah, yeah. He looks like someone left WCW Kurt Hennig wrap his crap out in the sun too long.
Yeah. Either that or Skinner. Steve Kerr.
Yeah.
That's right, or Skinner. Yeah, Skinner kind of let himself go a little bit. Actually, I'm sure he's in great shape. But so we're closing in on this would be 22, 23. Oh, it's the scramble. There's three teams. You got Jeremiah Plunkett and Eric Jackson. We all love Plunky, and Jackson's got a bright future down the road. We got Talos and Daisy Kill, both who were just beaten on successive episodes of Power, I believe. And you've got the Miserably Faithful and a scramble. Between the Miserably Faithful guys, and we'll ask the chat too, and Daisy Kill and Talos, and Jeremiah Plunkett and Eric Jackson, who do you got to win the scramble?
I've got Daisy Kill and Talos just because of the Talos element.
Yeah, I'm thinking the size will overcome all. Plus, they need to build them up after the Bully Ray incident.
Yeah.
I want Jeremiah Plunkett and Eric Jackson to win that scramble and be in the Crockett Cup, but my brain is going to say it's the Miserably Faithful. And I like those two guys, just not their gimmick.
Yeah.
Hey, Rick is here. He says new champ in Thrillbilly. He and I were talking about it the other day. This is Thrillbilly's time. My comment back to Rick on that was that until that, I don't think it might be his time for the national title. You might be right. But, we were talking about, this isn't Rick. This is Jay. I'm sorry. But we were talking about him becoming a potentially NWA Worlds champion. And I figure that's possible after that Zac Efron Iron Claw movie comes out that he's in. Once he becomes a bigger celebrity, then I would have, no problem with a bigger name, I guess I should say. Carlton says, Willie TNT seems like a good team, but I heard the Dudley Boys might be teaming up again. It's interesting to note, guys, that we know Bully is in the NWA, obviously. He's got a relationship, but that Devon's coming to the Fan Fest meet and greet.
Yep.
And he was just on Chris Van Vliet's podcast saying, I feel good. And never say never.
Yeah. And they have said that it's not going to happen. But if there are two guys that are still in the business that work kayfabe as hard as The Undertaker, it's those two guys.
Mm-hmm.
You would not know until they came out that they were teaming back up.
Yeah.
They would keep it from everyone in the back, even probably just to ensure that nothing got spoiled. It would probably be Billy knowing, and that's it.
Mhm.
Maybe one other producer.
So question.
Yeah.
TNT, are they in the 4-team scramble?
Nope.
No.
They're seeded.
They start out against the Savages.
Yeah, that's right. 3-team scramble. I'll pull it up.
So
Sec here.
depending on how things go, if there's a beatdown backstage and TNT is taken out, Bully shows up and goes, "Hey, I'll take both of you on," and out comes Devon. Devon, all he has to do is the "What's up?"
Yeah.
That's all he has to do.
Or the 3 guys, if the Savages lose, I'm just throwing my own fantasy thing out here. The Savages lose, and they all 3 of them beat down TNT. Bully comes out, they're beating him down. Devon comes out. They kind of wipe the floor. I would pop so hard, guys, for just one more time for Bully to go, Devon!
Get the tables.
What? Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would love that.
That would be tremendous.
Well, I mean, if done correctly and they protect Devon, all he has to do is one move.
Yeah, well, that's what he was saying on the Chris Van Vliet show, his podcast. He said he can't do a lot. He can't do the top rope, was up, headbutt thing anymore. There's some things he can't do, but there's some things that he can. He's in the ring a couple times a week. And he says, all I got to do is lift them up for Bully.
Yeah.
I mean,
yep.
That's it, right? So
One of my sons, he tags his son, boom, get up on the top rope, and they do a "What's Up" next generation, Dudley Boys Part 2.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's too bad they're not TNT. Like their last name's Hughes, I think, and that's what they use. But they're not Dudleys. That's I guess they want to go their own way. Yeah, Jay says they passed on Jake Tomas and Mercurio Smoke and Mirrors. They did.
Yep,
they did. Talos and Daisy are his picks. He wants Plunkett to go on to the TV title, and EC3 to move on to the World's Heavyweight Championship. I just say it's too quick. He'd be too quick as national champion right now. For him to drop it this pay-per-view. He just got it. JR Kratos should be national or world heavyweight champion. Can't sell me on either one of those. Sorry. But I respect you, Willie. Sorry. Carlton asked, do you think the NWA should bring back the North American title? I do not. No more titles. Make it stop. What do you guys think?
Yeah, they're good with titles right now. We don't even have the women's TV title yet.
Yeah, it's true. So let's just look at the brackets real quick, and because that's the bunch of teams that are in it, and this is what it looks like. So if I were picking my final 4 from these brackets, and I haven't done it yet, I would have my World Tag Team Champions in, like, we'll call it the Northwest Conference, go to the semis because I want them to continue to look strong. I would have Latimer and Titus probably go over the Savages, and in the Southwest, and then in the Northeast, I think I'm going to go out on a limb and go, and I'm always wrong, guys. I always say all the time. I'm going to say Tyrus and Adonis implode and do not get past either like the Now or Max or Judas. So I'm going to pick, I think I'm going to pick Max and Judas to go to the semis. And then
that's who I have.
Yeah, and then in the Southeast, man, I love the Heat Seekers. I got to go Knox and Murdoch. And I think it's if it's not like my second pick would be Knox and Murdoch, or Murnox as Jaden calls them, to win the whole thing. But I just love the idea of Latimer and Titus so much. right now. I can leave this up, but what do you guys think?
I've got La Rebellion going over Flippin' Potter, and Clearwater and Scion going over Blunt Force Trauma. I have Octagon Jr. and Miss Diz going over the Savages.
Okay, great. Yeah.
And then I have Latimer and Titus going over the Fixers.
Yeah.
Max and Judas going over on that.
The Now?
Yeah, the Now, and then Tyrus and Adonis.
Nice.
Kratos and Odinson going over Magic Jake. And then Magnum Muscle going over the Spectaculars, and the Heat Seekers going over Toxin and Arez.
Right. So your final four are who then after that round?
My final four are the Country Gentlemen against Murdoch and Knox, and La Rebellion against Latimer and Titus.
Good picks. Who's your winner overall?
Winner overall is Murdoch's.
Murdoch, yeah, it's a great pick. What about you, Dave?
I've got Murdoch and Knox. Also, Kratos and Odinson. I think teaming them together gives them a purpose, and it cuts down their work in half being a tag team, so they don't have to put forth all the effort, and it makes Odinson look better, that he's not having to work through all the uppercuts, that he can just come in, do his stuff, and then jump back out. I also have the Savages. I think them being in the Crockett Cup is finally when they click as a tag team, because they're putting all these tag teams together.
Right.
They've been together before the Crockett Cup. So they need to work their way up, and just being in the final four, not saying that they win, but it bumps them up in the rankings to go after either the U.S. or the World Tag Belts.
Mm-hmm.
And then I do have Latimer and Titus, just because I like both of the guys, and just as a surprise.
Yeah.
It's not expected for them to go anywhere, so why not?
100%. So your semis are who again? You got
Murdoch and Knox.
Yeah.
Kratos and Odinson, the Savages, and who is it? Titus and Latimer.
Right.
Cut above.
Who do you got winning?
Murdoch and Knox, I think, take it, because they need to be the standard. That if you want to go after the tag belts, you have to beat the winner of the Crockett Cup to have a chance to go after whether it's the U.S. or the World Tag Belts. That they need to be the standard. That if you can beat them by any means necessary, you deserve a chance at those belts.
Yep, agreed.
100%.
I actually, my head says like Murdoch and Knox should go over Titus and Latimer, but I'm going to go the other way just to be different. Mike, I did get your brackets for the contest on Twitter. Thank you. You're one of like 4 people who've done it correctly, because people can't follow instructions. He's got Savages over TNT. He can bring his brackets up. Oh, he's putting them all in the chat. Scion and Clearwater over Blunt Force Trauma, then losing to the Savages. Willie's pick overall are Murdoch and Knox. So you guys are in good company right now. Just going back up here for a sec. This was like, do you think that the NWA should bring the North American title back? Not until they have a deeper roster. Jay says no, absolutely not. So yeah, he just wants to compare with us all. Yeah, so yeah, these two guys quite wisely have Knox and Murdoch, and I've got currently reserving the right to change my picks at any time before the pay-per-view. Latimer and Titus. I think it's already 7. Let's. What are we gonna do? Let's talk about the NWA in Mexico. Let's just go right into that. The world is a Vampiro. That was smart.
Yay!
Part 2, which were 3 matches from the World is a Vampire Festival down in Mexico City that J. Cal attended. There were to be 4, but one was pulled for awful reasons that I don't think we need to get into at this particular juncture. But I'm sure you guys can look it up. And I'm just pulling up my notes because I was so busy today, I didn't even get to put it down. Okay, so the first match, guys. This was La Rebellion, your NWA World Tag Team Champions. Whether you're getting a little, tired of them or not, they still remain the best team in the NWA. And Jeremy's not. They are far and away still number 1. Versus Blue Demon Jr. And if I were at home, I'd be thumbing over my shoulder at the painted portrait I have of Blue Demon.
It's beautiful.
Yeah. And Vampiro. And this is for the NWA World Tag Team titles. It is very clear from the beginning that Blue Demon, who has been wrestling a very long time, and Vampiro, same, are going to be limited by their age and their abilities and their capacities for this event.
Yes.
I'll get to these comments in a sec here. But let's go through this match. So La Rebellion jumpstart. They jumpstart on Demon and Vampiro. They toss Blue Demon and Vampiro outside of the floor, or Damien, who's, of course, there, being in Mexico City especially, immediately interferes. Vampiro ends up getting power bombed and sits up really quickly to eat some double knees. And I'm beginning to learn in watching this event that selling is not a big thing in Lucha Libre.
No.
So there's a lot of getting hit with something big and then just immediately getting up again. But he eats some double knees. He rolls out to tag Blue Demon after he's essentially just been crushed here. Blue Demon's worked over by La Rebellion, and Damien interferes to stop the babyface comeback on his part. So La Rebellion really control these guys, and Mecha Wolf starts going for Blue Demon Jr.'s mask. I'm going to put this up right now because it's absolutely true. Vampiro was not very good. Demon was not very good. What else? They try to get it off, but Blue Demon kind of ducks out of a double elbow shot when he's tossed into the ropes. He tags in Vampiro. He's as much of a house of fire as he can be with clotheslines. He takes Damien's kendo stick and looks like he's kind of wiping them out with it, and they don't really seem to sell after a moment of this. They rally as to get the kendo stick. They toss him outside. It's a bit of a mess, as we say. Joe Galley actually says Vampiro hasn't lost a step.
He's lost several.
Yeah, I wrote, yeah, okay, Joe. I get that you've got to sell what's happening in the ring right now. I get it. you can't be there as an announcer, as a company man, and go like Joe and Tim Storm were. They were like, "Whoa, this is amazing," and we were all, it is not. But I think there are other ways to do it, guys.
And that's not the last outlandish remark he makes during this broadcast either.
Right. In the ring, I'm just going to kind of skip ahead because it's a bit of a slaughter.
Yeah.
Mecha Wolf gives Vampiro, I wrote, a something. It looked like it went awry and wasn't probably something he appreciated. But he does end up rallying Vampiro, that is, with a running clothesline, heads upstairs for a twisting senton that kind of misses. And then Damien hits the red mist. Mecha Wolf plants a springboard DDT. This was a bad match, and Vampiro and Blue Demon Jr., both who I love, one who I adored, and still do memory-wise, just they're not able to go anymore, and it's a situation that we've seen, Jeremy, around the NWA, and with some of the older talent from time to time. This was bad. What did you think?
I am a huge Vampiro mark. He was one of the main reasons why I watched WCW in the late 90s, early O's into its demise. I always enjoyed that guy's matches. That being said, that was back in the 90s. It's 2023, and I loved what he was doing on commentary for Lucha Underground, and from what I understand, the matches that he helps produce and stuff for AAA are some of their best matches that they have. But he shouldn't, like with Ricky, he shouldn't be in the ring anymore. This was a train wreck all the way around. Even La Rebellion couldn't make it look even passable, honestly.
I'm going to get to these comments. I got to put this first. Imagine if Kelly said, "This is the drizzling shit."
At least he'd been honest, and no one would have disagreed, honestly.
I feel like there are ways to sell it to a viewing audience as something more than what it might be without saying, oh, this is on fire, it's electric, everything's going a mile a minute, when it isn't. I feel like you can say, Dave, Vampiro has 35 years of in-ring experience. These guys need to be careful. Like, he's sizing this guy up for that.
And he was also diagnosed with freaking Alzheimer's in 2019. So don't sit there and say that he hasn't lost a step, because he definitely has.
Yeah. What did you think, Dave?
Well, I mean, they were going for names in AAA, and those are names that people recognize. But it wasn't a good look. If anything, they should have had a younger team led by either Vampiro or Blue Demon Jr. that could have jumped in and helped. Even in a DQ, you still get a highlight from a classic wrestler.
Right.
But it's one of these things of it didn't look good overall. It's like you're it's like your teenagers beating up on your uncles.
Yeah, that's right.
It's a bad thing. All the wrestlers involved are good. It's just, I mean, Blue Demon's what, 56, 57?
Yep, 56.
And I mean, Vampiro is only a couple years behind.
Yeah.
And I mean, he was in his mid-30s back when WCW called it quits.
Mhm.
So I mean, it's one of those things of time has not been good to either of those gentlemen.
Yeah.
They can still do what they can do, but that's when you just put them in a short match or have them rescue another wrestler and do their highlight reel in 1 or 2 minutes and they're done.
Yep.
And when you got guys that are in their 50s, mid 50s, like Vampiro and Blue Demon, I completely respect that the spirit is still willing and wanting to get out there and do that. But someone has to say, there's a better way that we can utilize you now. I have too much respect for you to allow you to go back out there and potentially hurt yourself.
Yeah. I mean,
at this stage.
There's lots of stuff that these guys can be doing, and it's not this. I'm just going to go to the comments. Jay, I'm at the point where I want all new champions except Latimer. Yeah, almost. I think almost. I agree there. Yeah, you guys too.
I'd be good with all new champions.
Well, besides Camille.
Besides Camille, like Camille, until Ken. You know what? I've been saying, give me a Tessa Blanchard, give me a Lindsay Snow. Honestly, I think now it's a give me a Kenzie Paige.
And now that I say that, though, I do want to. I don't want Kerry to drop his title yet. I want to see what he does with this as a heel.
Yeah,
in a heel run. And Kenzie just got the women's television, so I want to see what she's able to do with this. And no, the rest of them I change.
Yeah, it's fair.
Yeah.
Rusty Loudermilk, good to see you, Rusty. Not sure if this was covered. I got here late. Me too. After reading post story, Corgan continues to show he does not care about fans. Maybe he'll explain a little bit down if he, because I'm not following that one entirely, but I get the sentiment. Dave, stop smiling. There's no smiling, Dave.
Okay, sorry.
Willie likes Slydra. Rusty says they need to change the name to the Corgan Wrestling Ego Alliance. Okay, something's gone on that I haven't been informed about.
He did. Corgan did the interview and said that he's not booking for the fans.
Oh,
he doesn't care what the fans want or anything. He's not booking for them, and to an extent, I get that sentiment, but Corgan can come across kind of harshly with his comments.
I'll go read that one then before I comment, and I'll scream about it on another platform. But Rick Del Santo and Tim Wood. No, maybe Rick Del Santo and Dave Scooby would look better than WPC. But I honestly, as much as I like having fun ideas from time to time, I would be terrible at it.
Yeah.
This is the thing. When I was talking to Rick Del Santo the other day, I said if I ever just woke up and I owned the NWA, the first thing I do is get a booker.
Yep.
Because I can recognize that where my skills might lie, and that wouldn't be it. And I don't, respectfully don't think it's Mr. Corgan's either. Willie says, it's a Tyrus joke. When Tyrus loses the NWA Worlds Heavyweight Championship, he's going on a hunger strike, which is good for restaurants and grocery stores. Well, maybe not for their bank accounts, but yes, they won't be able to sell all that stuff. Imagine if this was La Rebellion, this match we were talking about, versus Hawks Harry, if the Hawks were tag champions. Where are PJ and Luke, guys? What's going on?
PJ, I believe, is getting married.
Yeah.
I thought he got married.
I don't know. He's either getting or he got married, and Luke is heavily booked for stunt work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's doing
Heels.
Heels, and I believe there may be one more season of Young Rock, but he's doing at least Heels, and a couple movies, I guess, are in the works. But he's probably 60 to 70% of his time is doing stunt work and working as a stunt coordinator.
Okay. Well, he's moved on to other stuff then, but what a great tag team. Mike had said hasn't lost a step. Back when we were talking about Galley said he hasn't lost a step in Vampiro. He hasn't found one either, for fuck's sake. It was horrid, no selling. Vampiro was, well, Demon doing most of the work. I wouldn't have aired this match in entirety. If anything needed to be edited heavily, it was this.
I agree with that 100%. They could have edited this a little bit better.
Yeah. I mean, I know that the NWA didn't produce this, right? But and that
Right.
they had to get it in post, and I'm sure Billy Trask and his crew did as much as they could to take away what Dodi Kusumoto calls the Guadalajara sunset, right? The deep alliance cut right there. One of the things was that Joe could have said, these are wily veterans, you can't count them out, that kind of thing.
So was Terry Funk, but at a point I didn't want to see him fucking wrestle either.
Yeah, for sure. It should have been Blue Demon Jr. and a Raz master and student. Yeah.
Yes, with the Res carrying most of it. That was another one. He's teaming up with Toxin in the Crockett Cup, and he's another one that I was highly impressed by as well.
One of the reasons that looking at Willie's comment here, that I'm going to reserve my final picks to next week, is that what if Tyrus and Adonis win the Crockett Cup and they get a shot at the World Tag Team titles and they win them? You have Tyrus as a World Tag Team champion with Adonis, and he's free to lose the 10 pounds of gold, in the sense that Fox News continues to have an NWA title despite on the screen for a while.
Now, I'd have to go back and look, but I do believe in the Dead Sea Scrolls it says something about a Manster and a Lock breaking one of the first seals that starts Armageddon.
A Master Lock seal. Yeah. Rusty says Jim Cornette would be the best NWA booker. After 51 of my 54 years as an NWA fan, Corgan is not doing old school NWA as he promised. 100%. I don't think from anything that Jim, I should say Mr. Cornette, I don't know him, but anything he said, he'll never do that again.
And Corgan's addressed that. He is doing an old school variation. He's doing his interpretation on what old school is. At the end of the day, Corgan is an artist, so everything is up for interpretation in that line of work. So we are getting what he felt he was seeing that we all apparently weren't.
I'm going to have to read this article. Craig S., welcome. Been so long since the last time I joined a live chat on YouTube. Yeah, we got a pretty good chat room here a lot of the time, most of the time, actually all the time. So welcome. Jump right in. Mike, he's got Money Mike's got Knox and Murdoch beating the Gentleman, then beating Tyrus and the other guy.
Oh, wow.
What the snub? Rusty says,
Right?
if the Clowns win, I run my wheelchair in a lake.
If the Clowns win,
Jeremy will be there with you.
all of my future Other Guy Alliance podcast will be from a Jaden point of view. I will not watch the product, but I'll give you my point of view on how I felt that it should have fucking went.
It'll just be so that was that match on Power. What did you think, Jeremy? You'd be like, I don't know, I didn't fucking watch it.
They let clowns win that shit. Are you kidding me?
That's the best. That is Tyrus being greedy if that happens, if he were to win the World Tag Team titles. And, I don't know. Just a dark thought in the back of my head. Corgan's doing a selfish and doing a method of pro wrestling that works for him, not the fans. I wholeheartedly agree with Rusty Reed. Jim Cornette, says Craig. The Reluchador. The clowns are there so that you can go to the bathroom. It's why I married her, boys. Here we go. Sorry, I didn't want to miss Mandy. I agree with Rusty too. Have you guys heard Aaron Stephen being interviewed recently by Dutch? I have not. Aaron invited him to the NWA, but I don't see Dutch catering to Billy's ego one bit. Wow. That's interesting.
Dutch courted a little controversy on Twitter too in the last week, over the weekend, I believe, with some of his views on the trans community and such. Which isn't out of Billy's realm to snub his nose at by any means.
Billy wears a dress on stage.
Huh?
Billy wears a dress on stage half the time.
Yeah. I think he does that just for shock, though.
Yeah. Hey, listen. That thing before the show a few weeks ago, I used to have a Jacobs Pritchard Wrestling Academy shirt. Now I don't.
Yeah.
That's a funny story we'll tell someday. Rusty says, "Give me Crockett NWA, Jeremy, not Corgan NWA."
1,000%.
Yeah.
And we haven't heard anything substantial about David Crockett and them moving forward with anything, but I'm still have all my fingers and toes crossed that we hear something about that before too long.
Yeah, wouldn't mind hearing something like, they sold to Conrad.
Yeah.
Jim Crockett, Craig S. Jim Crockett Promotions production and presentation of Ric Flair's last match event last year is how the NWA should be produced and presented. I agree. In a very United Wrestling Network kind of style, purely his opinion. Willie and the Reluchador would be a better tag team than the two clowns. I would pay enormous amounts of money to see that match happen. Let's go to the next one, though. We got Camille versus Lady Flamer for the NWA World Women's Championship, guys. Camille's, I don't know if you guys noticed, but Camille's got an updated Burke. It's bigger. It's been re-leathered. The plates might be bigger. They look bigger to me, but it might just be the leather as well. I know it was a custom job done for her by, I think it's JB Toys, and I have nerd opinions on that I'll just keep to myself, but I missed the original, and gotta say, like, from way back up in the camera on the crane, looked great.
Yeah.
They exchange holds in a slow opener for this thing until Camille kind of ends up hitting this like flying head scissors followed by a kip up. The fight goes outside to the floor where Flamer takes control. She knocks Camille around a while and goes for a cover in the ring after rolling her in. There's a spinning head scissors on Camille and a dive to the outside that nearly misses. As Lady Flamer nearly kills herself on this one. There's a couple times during this festival that happened. There's back in the ring. There's a knees to the face spot and a cover for 2. Camille's put in the tree of woe and drop kicked, and probably my favorite spot of this particular match. She rallies with a high back body drop, a power slam. She gets a 2 count. Camille hits the torture rack into the thunder bomb for 2. I stopped here and I said to Raluca, like, why does she go, what? That wasn't 3. She's never pinned anybody. It's never worked. Anyway, I just once I want to see someone hit a move like that never gets the 3, and the ref goes 2, and they just go, yeah, I know.
Yeah.
Flamer hits a top rope Hurricane Rana, covers for 2. Again, not a ton of selling all the way around, but Camille hits the spear at the end of this one and pins. It's technically, I think, 4-3 at this point for AAA. Dave, what did you think of the ladies' world heavyweight world women's title match?
The match itself wasn't a bad match, but if you know what Camille went through to get to Mexico City in about a 24-hour period, they went from Tennessee down to Atlanta, ended up flying out of Atlanta and got to Mexico City maybe 3 to 4 hours before the match.
Right.
Plus you have difference in time zones and such and such. But I mean, it was just a ragged 24 hours for what it was and what she went through. The match itself wasn't bad. I believe it would have been much better if she would have been able to be there and they could have worked out what they were going to do in the match a little more. And she wouldn't have had all the travel issues. And it wouldn't have weighed heavy on her mind about getting there and getting the match done the correct way. It wasn't the best, but it wasn't the worst. At least they worked their way through the match.
Yep.
I'm just hoping that either Flamer gets a second chance or somebody from AAA gets a second chance to come into the NWA and go for the belt. I really haven't checked to see who is on AAA's roster female-wise. But if they're going to be able to share go down to AAA and be in some of their pay-per-views, it's a win-win situation, I think, for everybody.
Yep. Yeah, and I think you're right. Like it was kind of what this, it wasn't the worst, wasn't the best, and there were some extenuating circumstances for travel, like you say, right? But it got the job done, I guess. What did you think, Jeremy?
I agree with Dave. Whenever I first watched it through, I watched it at regular speed, and then whenever I watch back and I take my notes, I watch it at usually 1.5 or 2 times the speed. And it was a lot smoother on the rewatch. But yeah, you could definitely tell that they didn't have a lot of time to get the match set up or anything, and they were kind of just trying to work it on the fly. For what it was, it was what it was, I'm sure given the time that we would have got a much better match than what we got.
I agree. I think the same as what you guys thought of the match as well. Good for her for making it there and, and showing up. And I'm sure it wasn't easy in the end. Willie says before the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man Tyrus, their world's champion, were consistently defending the 10 pounds of gold. Yeah, I mean, yes and no. I don't remember Trevor defending it tons, but yeah, I mean, your point is taken. Like all this was, and it was certainly more, but they knew what they were getting with Tyrus. They traded off his inability to work a lot of dates because they traded that for a Fox News show that's #1 in its time slot and probably top 3 in all of the network. It's extremely popular, and and it was an experiment, and I don't know if it's worked or not, but Craig says, Willie, I don't think Jim Cornette should be an on-air talent in any way. I'm very well aware of how opinionated and outspoken he is, and how much of a decisive personality he is. So for me, guys, it's like he's made it clear he's not leaving Castle Cornette.
He's not. Yeah, he's not going anywhere. And between the experience and the drive-through, plus the merch store, he's got his hands full.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and he's like, quite often he's like, I'm only going to be doing this for a few more years, and then that'll be it. You guys won't see my ugly face at all. So
he'll be done. He will go complete recluse.
I mean, Jim Crockett Promotions was my NWA and also Maple Leaf and stuff. But I mean, there's an affiliation that he has with the Crockett name with what's his name? Billy and Conrad. So it'll be interesting to see how things unfold in the next couple of years anyway. Anyway, just to clarify, Craig said he just thinks Cornette should book the shows. Raluca, Camille needs an equal opponent. When she wrestles Taya or the Mud Monster, Max, she was so athletic and looked so good. But this was too slow for me. I wasn't Camille's best. Loved her new belt. Yep.
I do agree with that. Whenever she has someone that's comparable in size or a bigger opponent than her, you see her at 110%.
How many pay-per-views has she stolen the show at? 4?
Every one of them, to be honest.
Rusty doesn't know which is worse, Clowns or Tyrus.
Clowns.
Willie hates the WWE. Snooze down. Oh, I'm not saying we're not using that word, Willie. Tyrus should paint himself purple and play Barney in his biopic. Oh, Willie. Yeah, she must have been exhausted. That was Camille. Trevor didn't defend much either. One defense in SICW. The rest of his defense is in Mexico.
Yeah.
Thrillbilly, Aaron Stevens, NWA champ. Someday, I agree, especially if Iron Claw, the movie, the Von Erich movie, goes where he's playing Bam Bam.
Yeah.
If that goes big, hey man, I'm all behind it. Not Mexico, NWA. Yeah, I don't know why I didn't say anything to that, but yeah, there you go. With respect, I understand all of this, Craig says. I just think Cornette should book the NWA even remotely from Castle Cornette in Kentucky. He wouldn't have to travel. But as the story he's always told about the bucket of chicken on the back of the motorcycle and how Trevor could drive that, and he's the toughest man in all of professional sports, and how he was asked to apologize, and he kind of went, right here, guys. He's not a fan of being told what to do when he thinks it's ridiculous.
Yep.
He didn't even talk about the NWA on his podcast, right? It's just not something that even crosses his radar anymore.
No.
Anyway, but that would be fun. The final match, however, for NWA in Mexico is Tyrus versus Daga, NWA Worlds Heavyweight Championship. So this is what I gather happens, and I wish I'd had more time to investigate, but if you guys know, by all means, please speak up in the chat about what happened. As this one starts, Daga bails immediately to the outside. He's played mind games. He returns to attack with fists. The fists, they do nothing, Jeremy. He can't slam Tyrus, and he's shoulder blocked down. He's shoved down. he's hit with a falling headbutt. There's a reverse atomic drop. He's keeping he's in control. He's keeping the pace slow, but Daga rallies to take out Tyrus's knee and keeps him down with some drop kicks. And that, the tale that's being told is like, you got to get Tyrus off his feet. You've got to keep the big man down and neutralize that power base. And so he's drop kicking him. He works on the knee. Looks like, okay, this might be a good story. And then Daga, steps up on the rope and stomps, and something happens to his knee. Mm-hmm. And he just grabs it and collapses. And I didn't see the ref do one of these, but basically that's what happened. Tyrus just got to his feet, figured out pretty quick what was going on, like a pro should, dropped an elbow, and then covered him hard, like his weight was going to be too much for Daga to kick out. I got to give it up to the champ. It had to end. He had to end it right then and there. I thought he did it really well. Dave, this was very short. It was unfortunate we didn't get to see it, but what did you think?
I mean, overall, it was a decent match. It's the size difference. It's hard to actually believe that Daga had a chance. But I mean, Tyrus has been around wrestling for 20 plus years. He knew what to do when it mattered. He helped protect an injured wrestler. He then got up. He got the AAA flag. He was waving the flag. Mm-hmm. And I read accounts of it that he stayed out there until Daga was taken to the back. And then when they went to the back, he went to the back as well to check to make sure that he was okay before the medical took him away.
Yeah, that's amazing.
He did what he needed to do to keep the match going as long as it could. And when it couldn't go any further, they wrapped things up. They did things as safely as they could. Daga has said he wants to come back to the NWA. Whether it be coming back for Tyrus or maybe for a chance at the national title or the TV title, he's a good wrestler. Just bring him back and use him as an asset to the NWA, whether it be in the NWA or if we send somebody from the NWA back to AAA.
Yeah. Wow.
But I mean, I think it can be a good working relationship if they figure out a game plan to use wrestlers on both shows.
Some great points, especially since the relationship's so nice and strong. And I really like what you said. You pointed out he waved that AAA flag, like, that it was. We call out Tyrus for his limitations and for his inability or unwillingness, perhaps, to defend the title on a regular basis, and how the quality of those matches just are when he's doing it. But I'm glad we can call him out, Jeremy, when there's stuff that he does incredibly right and professionally, and understands where he is with the fans and what he's got to do. What did you think?
That, like you said, we call him out for his inability to perform in matches up to a championship standard. But it is those little touches that he does add, those small little things that you learn from being in a promotion like a WWE or now an AEW or an Impact, where you just pick up these little things along the way because you've got these veterans that you were able to learn under. And grabbing that flag after Daga injuring his knee and then getting pinned and waving it and then hanging out there until was able to be pulled back. That won so much goodwill over with that crowd.
Yeah. He's often talked about how like Dusty was his mentor, and he's like, Dusty, they want me to dance, and Dusty was like, man, they put me in polka dots. I make that shit work for me, and how he learned from that. And I think he's really happy to be in that position now, where he can do the same thing for young and show them how to do things the right way.
And you don't hear anyone say anything bad about him backstage or anything. I believe it was Puyo that, he's highly respected by everyone and is willing to lend an ear or advice to every single person in that locker room.
Yeah.
So I give him respect in the fact of being a locker room leader and everything. He ain't my champ.
Yeah.
But this match, this was the other one where Joe Galley just made an absurd statement. He said that Tyrus might have been over 100-pound difference weight between him and Daga, as Daga was trying to pick him up for his slam.
Right.
I went on Cage Match. 187 fucking pounds, man. That is a whole Daga and Daga's meal plan for the day. Okay.
Yeah.
Other than that, though, the match was good for what it was.
For what it was, for as long as it lasted. Other than that shit, it was good though.
Yeah.
Let's say, Willie, you're spot on. The last match should have been Odinson, Jack Stain, or Knox. Dog is too small. Dog would be better off working with Kerry Morton.
He's a 180-pounder. He's definitely in that junior heavyweight.
Yeah, I mean, everything went wrong, but it seemed like a styles clash already. Craig was saying, where's Darius Lockhart? He's been around and used in over a year. He's so talented, cuts one hell of a promo. Well,
great question.
Yeah, I mean, Darius went dark on Twitter for quite a while.
Yeah,
I believe he's come back and he said some things on there, kind of lost his smile for a while comments. But I'd encourage you to look him up on Twitter and get it right from the horse's mouth, so to speak. Yeah, he does have a lot of personality and charisma. He's fantastic. The mercenary, I think they call him, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the injury to Daga was legit. Yeah, I mean, we knew it was, so we certainly suspected from the way that it ended. So that was it. That was the show, guys, for the World is Vampiro Festival. Let's turn it over real quick to our friend here, Championship Wrestling from Jeremy, in a segment we like to call Championship Wrestling from Jeremy.
I need all of you to stop what you're doing and listen.
United we stand. The following is a presentation of the United Wrestling Network.
It's time for Championship Wrestling from Jeremy.
So Jeremy brings us the top 3 matches from the UWN, from Championship Wrestling from Car Shield, from Memphis Wrestling. Remind me to tell you something about Memphis Wrestling after this, if you don't already bring it up. And Derby City, over to you, my friend. What's the top 3 from around the United Wrestling Network this week?
This week we've got we're starting out with the Memphis match of the week, and that was the kendo stick match with Aaron Roberts and Mike Anthony. Aaron came out with Just in Case. This match did not go at all how I thought it would. For the first time that I can remember, Mike Anthony was not the dominating force in a match that we had seen in the past. Aaron was firmly in control for a majority, but just as Mike was starting to gain the upper hand, Just in Case got involved. Anthony took out Just in Case and turned his attention back to Aaron. But just as he was about to strike, Two large masked and hooded individuals came out from the back and attacked Mike. Aaron and the two masked individuals then proceeded to hit Mike with the kendo sticks before delivering a triple power bomb and Aaron pinning him in the middle of the ring. After the bell, they continued their assault before Aaron posed in front of the hard cam, raised arms in victory.
So was it, I mean, and I don't know, but was it the posse?
I don't think so.
You're in the middle here. This is your show. Here you go. You don't think so? Yeah, I don't think so either. Yeah.
I don't believe it was, just because of both individuals were very, very close in height, along with Aaron Roberts. And I believe that Simon is a little bit taller than Aaron and not as round as one of those guys. And little Chris is way shorter than that. I have no info as to who they are or could possibly even be. I'm thinking that these may be two newcomers to Memphis. But again, I'm unsure, but this is Memphis, so it's not a story that's just gonna disappear in Kaiser Soze on us. I'm sure within the next few weeks that we'll get the answers to who they are.
For sure. That's freaking me out looking at it like that format. There we go. Good.
We then go to Championship Wrestling presented by Car Shield, and the show was the star this week. We got 3 banger matches.
Yeah.
We got to see the return of Slice Boogie, who took on Cameron Gates and was just dominant in that.
What's Cameron Gates' nickname again? It's funny. Like Barely Adequate Cameron Gates, or
something like that. They had a run-in whenever Cameron Gates had a match against Papo Esco.
Right.
Before Slice Boogie had came back. We then got to see, turn your earbuds down, Beef Candy versus the Institution's Brendan Devine and Honest John. Beef Candy still are the number 1 contenders for the United Wrestling Network tag team titles. So we should be seeing a match with them going after the titles soon. It's still up in the air as to who they could be going against, though. Apparently, commentary made a point to say that, which I felt was kind of odd. But and then in our main event match, we got BHK Kevin Martinson, who took on Evan Daniels for the United Heritage title. And if you look closely, you might see a pop in from one Bateman during that match. So go watch that shit. It was good all the way around. Then for Derby City, the match of the week that I picked was the boys, or the Tate twins, versus the infantry, Carly Bravo and the captain, Sean Dean. Yep. Now, I was unfamiliar with the infantry, but they had their first match in AEW against Cesar Bononi and Pretty Peter Avalon. They since showed up in Championship Wrestling from Arizona, or not Arizona, but Atlanta, Journey Pro, and Ring of Honor, to name a few. The Tate twins are most known for being with Dalton Castle and Ring of Honor, but they actually got their start in Mountain State Wrestling, a former NWA affiliate, in 2010 as the Baronis Brothers. Oh. And then we last saw them in the NWA last year at the Crockett Cup, and they were eliminated in the first round by La Rebellion.
Yeah.
The infantry were dominant in this match nearly the entire time. The action was nonstop, lots of quick tags in and out for the infantry. Brent Tate finally got the hot tag in and was able to get some offense in before getting planted with a slapjack slam and then a double boot to the head, and Carly Bravo made the pin for the 3. Definitely looking for title gold, I would feel, with the infantry. You can catch Memphis Wrestling every Saturday at 1 p.m. Eastern Time and 10 a.m. Pacific Time, and Championship Wrestling presented by Car Shield and Derby City Wrestling every Sunday. You can catch Championship Wrestling presented by Car Shield at 1 p.m. Eastern Time and 10 p.m. Pacific Time, with Derby City immediately following on the Memphis Wrestling YouTube channel. And if you're not watching, may you have a booger that you can never pick.
Oh.
Wow.
Guys, he's dark. He's dark, Dave.
Savage.
Wow.
I'm practicing my savageness.
Listen, I read today, and it's been a really busy day, but I did read it that, we talked about why doesn't the UWN have, like, here's Gilbert Corsi at the control center, and we're going to Memphis. They don't even display like the Memphis or the UWN logo anywhere. I did read today that Danny Limelight's going to Memphis.
Yes, and all Memphis talent, all female Memphis talent are up for the upcoming United Wrestling Network Women's title.
Oh, awesome.
You will see all women from Championship Wrestling presented by Car Shield, Derby City, and Memphis are all eligible for the United Wrestling Network's women's title.
That's awesome. I am not a fan of, hate saying this aloud, of any of the women in Memphis wrestling except Mackenzie Morgan. But I'm glad they get the opportunity. It's not a strong division for me.
I completely get where you're coming from and understand what you're saying. And for who they have, and for the short amount of time that she has been doing this, I truly honestly feel that Mackenzie Morgan could possibly be a generational talent.
Wow.
You figure when we started this podcast, which will be 1 year, 6 weeks from now. But when we started this podcast, she was not even an entity on Memphis yet.
Right.
It was about 3 months in that she became a backstage interviewer. And then it was about 3 months after that she got introduced in the ring. And since then, she has quickly skyrocketed to their most popular female talent, if not one of their most popular overall talents.
Yeah. You get the impression that, like, people in the crowd know her.
And they do. That's the thing.
Yeah.
So much of the Memphis crowd and the talent are basically like family.
It's true.
Because there is a lot of family that's interspersed in the crowd.
That lady with the she's got glasses, white lady with white hair and like a pink shirt, who freaks out.
Shirt.
Like
I believe that was Mackenzie's former teacher.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah.
That's, you don't get those. I'm sure you do in the WWE, but you won't see them on screen unless they want you to. Right. And with Memphis, it's all right there. And another thing that I noticed in this past episode, it was standing room only.
There were more people there.
There were a lot more people there. There were people that were standing on both sides of the walls at the back in the little bleacher VIP-esque box seats that they have. And then there were people that were blocking and lined up along the sides in the doorway as well.
Well, I think that's the value of having a model where you can bring in Tommy Dreamer and Jerry Lynn for a couple spots and, do a couple things. Even James Ellsworth is worth a laugh. Go spend whatever you're going to get into the Wrestle Center and go see James Ellsworth. I'd do that.
They have, I think it's June the 4th, Sunday. Alan Angels is coming in.
That's right, Alan Angels, yeah.
That, like you said, they're constantly bringing someone in.
Yeah.
And that, you bring that person in and that brings, that, I haven't seen them in a while. What are they up to?
100%.
Well,
thank you, my friend. I always appreciate the recap. Craig says he misses the days pre-COVID when the NWA and the UWN, David Marquez had the involvement with both, right?
Yeah.
Willie agrees. Willie likes Rekka Tahaka, Vipers, and Cassandra Golden. You know what? I don't hate Cassandra Golden. I don't hate any of them. She is talented. But I feel like Derby City's got and Championship Wrestling have like stronger divisions. But of course, they would. They've got that particular backing. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. Let's anchor this thing with some fantasy booking by Dave Scooby. So I respect you, Booker man. It's double duty for Kenzie Paige at the Crockett Cup. Who do you figure she's going to be facing on night 2 after that hardcore scramble? I think they're calling it on night 1. What do you got?
They're having a team war.
Team war, yeah.
And it's Samantha Starr, La Rosa Negra, and M95 against Pretty Empowered. All 4 of the ladies.
Yeah.
It can go either way. I'm not sure who she's actually going to be defending the belt against, and she will be presented with the new women's TV title. And I'm assuming that's going to be on night 2. It can go several different ways, depending on how they want to push Kenzie as the TV champion. Now, she's already defeated Sierra, and that was a very good match. She's defeated her old tag partner, Ella Envy.
Yeah.
Now, they're going with the 7 wins for the TV title. She already has 2 wins. So they can either go with another easy win, pad the win column, and have her go over Roxy and or her sister Kylie.
Mm-hmm.
Or possibly go to either do a squash match or maybe even do a time limit draw with Samantha Starr, being that they'll be facing each other on night 1. I'm thinking Angelina Love isn't doing anything. Fodder is in a tag match. She may go out there and accompany the tag team, but either having a victory if Kenzie defeats Angelina Love or even goes to a time limit draw. I'm thinking Kenzie is going to use that time limit to her advantage and go to as many draws as possible if she can't physically beat her opponent.
Okay.
Because a draw is a win.
Yeah.
She didn't lose, so she can use it to her advantage and either have outside interference or run the clock down by going outside the ring here and there.
Right.
La Rosa Negra, who is in the 4-person scramble, the team war, going to a time limit draw would save both of them. Kenzie would get a win, but La Rosa Negra would still be kept strong and only lose in a time limit draw. I really wish they would expand it to a 10-minute time limit rather than a 6:05 if it's going to be on a pay-per-view. Just let them do that. Right now, I would go with the more established name of either La Rosa Negra or Angelina Love to help build Kenzie, as I see Kenzie being built to finally one day beat the one-time champ Camille and take the Burke and run with it.
Yeah, she feels. I didn't mean to cut your legs out at the top of the show because now that's where you've arrived, but she feels like the right one right now.
Yeah.
Yeah. Would you go for title for that down the road before you go on?
I'd say yes, go title for title, and then whoever wins decides which title that they want to keep.
Or I guess if she's getting the title shot, she might have to cash in the lucky seven.
That it's either I can win, but whoever wins has to then decide which championship that they would relinquish.
Right.
So it's one of those things that she has two more members of Pretty Empowered that she can use to pad the win column. But she needs to get some serious wins and not just always go for the time limit draw.
Yeah.
That not more than at least 2 to 3 of the 7 victories, if she does get 7, should be a time limit draw.
So she and Pretty Empowered have got the other faction. They're not even a faction. They're just the baby faces.
Yeah.
In a match nobody cares about. It's just going to get time, for some of the talent to be out there on a pay-per-view, which is great. And also there was one of those at the last pay-per-view as well, and it turned out fantastic. It was a great match. So but I mean, nobody cares who actually wins that particular one. So she moves on to night 2. What happens then?
I mean, it depends on who wins and how they win.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Because that I know of, it's a team war. All it's setting up is whichever team wins. So if Pretty Empowered wins, Pretty Empowered could possibly have a tag team match the next night on night 2 against M95. But it all depends on which direction they decide to go. That I'm looking at it that somebody in Pretty Empowered costs Pretty Empowered the match, and Kenzie ends up that there's a slight rift amongst the 4, and whoever takes the pin, Kenzie then points and says, "You're the reason we lost. I want you in a match. You need to prove to me that you're worthy of being in Pretty Empowered. I'm putting the title on the line. If you can beat me, you're the new TV champion, and Pretty Empowered is where we are. We're all as one. One for all and all for one. If not, you lose and you're out."
That'd be great. I totally forgot. I'm like, what is Dave talking about? And then I realized, team war. It's you win the thing, the shot, of course.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah, that's awesome. I could, and I'd say admittedly a lesser chance, but I would think a chance as well that Kenzie's so popular in the NWA. How long is it before she just goes babyface? Maybe not right now, but down the road, I see her as like I say, the fans like to cheer for
her. I don't know if she has to go baby face, but she can be. I mean, I hate to say Stone Cold,
Right.
But Stone Cold wasn't always the good guy.
Right.
Stone Cold just went in, stomped a mud hole, and then left. Had a beer, celebrated, and left. You like a certain wrestler because of either how they wrestle or how they act. Sometimes it's both. But you don't have to like somebody and go, oh, they have to be nice. Well, they don't have to be anything.
That's true.
Yep.
So who knows? I mean, she's so young. She's just 21 years of age. And I mean, even if she goes to age 30, hell, that's another 9 years. Think about that.
Yeah.
Think about how much she can do for the NWA or anywhere else. Because her parents do own a wrestling organization as well. So if she can stay with the NWA and basically play both sides, that know when she has to defend her belt or defend whatever title she is holding in the NWA, that she can work as long as she wants for both organizations.
100%. I like that scenario, but I always do when you put this stuff together. You clearly think clearer about this than I do. So that's like, I'm like, I knew who my picks are. I've studied the Crockett Cup, and then you guys like, no, I like this team. And I'm like, maybe I have, I always guess wrong. So we should have a contest, the three of us, who can get the most wins out of this particular one. Let me just go to the chat before we call it a day, but thank you for that, Dave. Willie was saying, the NWA under Dave Marquez was great, and Craig was saying the same thing as we put up earlier. And Mandy had said, I miss those days too, Craig. That's why I'm still hanging around to see if maybe that magic comes back. I don't think it will anytime soon. Me too, Mandy. That's what I'm waiting for. I'm waiting for the way the NWA gripped me during Primetime Live, how it drew me in, like Jeremy was saying earlier, the Rock and Roll Express, just out of the gate, like I will remember a long time the Rock and Roll Express with Jim Cornette in the ring, like he's freaking out. This is so good for you guys, right?
Yep.
And even, although perceptions have changed, and I'm sure, rightfully so. When Marty Scurll walked down the stairs and Nick Aldis and he were face to face, I'm like, this is going to be amazing. Like, that's what I miss that.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
And I also hope that it comes back. Willie says stranger things can happen, Mandy. And also Masha Slamovich should be on the NWA roster. No complaints with that pick. What about you guys?
I'd be good with that.
Yeah.
Love to see her come in, but I believe she is signed to Impact. They finally got her under contract.
Whatever happened to ODB? She just retired? I know she was getting on.
She wrestles every once in a while, but she's, I guess, making quite a bit of money.
The food truck, right?
The food truck, yeah.
Yep.
I'd love to see her come back and bring the food truck to wherever NWA is. So
yeah, because I heard she throws down with food.
Oh yeah,
I'm sure.
Her food is just amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know what? She like the gimmick she has doesn't feel like just a gimmick, and that's why I like her.
Yeah.
She was fun. She's gonna punch you in the mouth and give you a sandwich. Have 6 beers, right? Anyway,
break a beer bottle over your head, give you a French kiss, and then kick your ass out the door.
There you go. There you go. Let's get out of here, guys. Find our sponsors, alliance-wrestling.com, your number one source for news and information around the National Wrestling Alliance, United Wrestling Network. Jeremy probably already did this, and the various independent promotions around the world. They are at alliance-wrestling.com. Seriously, all the info you need about the NWA updated all the time. Where can you guys be found? Dave, what about you?
You can find me at Dave Scooby on Twitter, Instagram, and at Dave Scooby, the number 1. Just got on TikTok this week.
There you go, Billy. Start sending this man checks and little composition notebooks that he can send back to you for his booking.
This is how I see it, Dave. You on TikTok should be video starts, light comes up, Dave looks up from his desk, and he books this angle straight into the camera. This is what you need to do. Light goes up, Dave puts his head down, light goes off. We flip to Billy going, Fantasy Booker, that's your whole thing, Dave, right there on TikTok.
Yep.
You can have that for free. That's already your deal. What about you, Jeremy?
Yep.
You can find me over at on Twitter at HJWOTS, and then over on YouTube at youtube.com/@worm5559.
And I am at the Alliance blog on all of the social media platforms. Oh God, please no Masha, says Money Mike.
She looks like Ronald McDonald and Carrot Top's love child.
Come on. She isn't that good. Watch her matches against men. ODB is Willie's crush. My man. See you, gentlemen, next Wednesday evening. 100% Willie. We'll see you then. We'll see all of you guys then. Thank you for coming out.
Thank you.
Until then, we'll see you at the matches.
Thanks for joining the stream. This has been a presentation of Alliance-Wrestling.com. We genuinely appreciate your support. Would you consider subscribing so you'll never miss a future episode? I'd also like to remind you we do a live stream every Tuesday at 5 p.m. before NWA Power. You can find us on social media at The Alliance Blog. And until next time, we are The Alliance.